Hey everyone, my name is Marcus, aka Salem Queer, and this is my horror thriller channel. If again you're new, please subscribe to my channel. It allows me to just figure out what I need to add in more in my channel, and also I just like to hear everyone's thoughts and discussions about horror and thriller movies. So don't be shy. My Instagram page is just one word, Salem Queer. I also do some quick movie reviews on there and also just share some other good horror art and news. So just make sure you stay updated on there. But today's video, we're going to do another rankings list of Tubi. And so this will be my top 10 horror thriller movies that are on Tubi as of right now. So check them out while they're still on there because they could just go at any time. Work my way down from 10 to 1, and how I do my rankings and movie reviews, I all look at movies based on 3 elements, which is acting, filmography, and storytelling. Number 10 would be The Collector. Desperate for money to pay off a debt, a man targets a wealthy family's home and plans to break in and steal a valuable gem. He soon learns that he is picked for the wrong night to carry out this plan, for a masked madman has gotten there first, imprisoned the family, and lined the mansion with deadly traps. I like The Collector. I think it's a cult following classic because there's The Collector and The Collection, and supposedly there's rumor about the third installment of this. I really like this one. It's very different in a way. It's still a slasher slash breaking in slash Saw movie, but it's definitely one that I feel like I have not forgotten about, and I thought it was fun. It's a fun ride. I like to think of it or compare it like a roller coaster ride. It has some good moments of it, of filmography, and also the storytelling of it again stands out of its own in that way. Is the acting strong? It's decent. It's not too bad, but I don't know. I think that's why it ranks number 10, is just because of how it stands out on its own, but yeah, it still has some familiar elements of other types of horror that we've seen, and I honestly like the booby traps of it. It's just very fun to see how that's all set up, and I kind of wish a haunted house would pick up a theme like The Collector, because that would be a fun haunted house to go through. Number 9 would be Frozen. As a winter storm approaches, 3 people become stranded on a chairlift high above the ground after a ski resort closes for the night. Frozen was something that I had to rewatch over and over again just to kind of get the feel and vibes and understanding of it. I don't know why it took me so long just to really appreciate it. I don't know, it's just I had to revisit it because it's a horror film I never, I guess, seen done when it's in the winter and it has just environmental horror into it. But then again, it is kind of frightening when you really pay attention and watch it and really be more empathetic and place yourself into those characters' shoes and be like, okay, if I was in there, I'd be pretty embarrassed, or if I was in there, I think I would just be like, yeah, we're dead. I really did the shots of it. It was very done well. The characters are pretty strong, likable. Maybe the main protagonist girl, I don't know. There's moments I liked her, but then again, I was just like, how'd you end up surviving, really? No, I liked it. It's very different too. I enjoyed the horror piece of it that's more environmental, you have to survive in the winter and you have to survive against the wolves. And if you have not seen this one, I would say give it a watch. It's good to be in your couch and cozy up and all, and maybe you can watch it around the other holidays like Christmas or Thanksgiving if you're like me who likes to watch horror films all year round. Number 8 would be The Uninvited. After spending time in a psychiatric facility, young Anna finds significant changes in store for her home. Her widowed father is now engaged to her mother's former nurse, Rachel. One night, the ghost of Anna's mother appears, screaming for revenge and accusing Rachel of murder. Anna and her sister Alex start to investigate, but they may be prepared to a lethal battle wills that ensure. I really like this one. I think it's just more of a nostalgic feel. This is another horror film I went to go see in the movie theater, and the twist of it really won me over with it. But also the filmography and the acting. Like, the characters are very likable, and it kept you interested and within it, in my opinion. But then the filmography was just done so well and shot so well, as in it had that spooky paranormal feels to, I don't know, it had moments of like, whoa, very beautiful. That's really why it had like a strong impact in me in that way. It's just like, wow. But if you did not know this fact, it's actually an American version of another film called I forgot, it's something to do with sisters. If you know the movie that I'm talking about, please comment below and tell me below. My brain sometimes just forgets. Again, the twist, I like a good twist, but sometimes movies can do too many twists, or the twist of itself is just not strong enough, but this one is just like, wow. And it turned into like a paranormal movie that you're thinking is happening to paranormal slash slasher, kind of like a stepfather slasher, and then complete 180, and it's more of a psychological horror thriller. And I'm like, wow, it really took me into a ride of processing this. Number 7 would be The Stepfather, the 1987. Jerry Blake is a family man, but he happens to have a series of families, with each one having the receiving end of a murderous way. When Jerry sets his sights on a lovely widow named Susan and her headstrong daughter Stephanie, it appears that his brutal pattern of killings will continue. However, Stephanie begins to suspect that there's something wrong with a seemingly well-adjusted Jerry, and a violent confrontation is inevitable. I really like this one too, as in it's in my favorite genre of slasher and also teen horror. And I think it has that classic vibes of 80s, but not too cheesy where it's like, okay, it's not good. It started like a cult following because there's, I think, three, well, if we count the reboot, there's actually 4. And I don't know, I like the acting of it. It was very done well in the sense of, again, likable, but also the antagonist, the stepfather, how he just portrayed this person that's like having issues with even organizing his identity, and like, who am I here? Like, that's like, I don't know how he delivered that to me. I was like, that's frightening. And the effects of it too, like, goodness, I thought sometimes, like, did he really like hit her or whatever? Like, I don't know, the 80s, or the director in that time of the 80s, like, he made it very believable. So who knows if he did or did not, but it's just it kept me, and also the story flow of it kept me interested. It kept me like on the edge of my seat a little bit. It was just like I was waiting for him to be caught, and it's just like, come on, just like, what is it going to take? And it just finally, when it gets there, it's like, yes. Also, again, with it being an 80s film, it just, 80s for me just brings out some type of charm to it as well. Number 6 would be American Mary. Mary Mason is lured into a world of freakish surgeries for easy money. I actually recently just discovered this like earlier this summer, and again, it's another film I'm kind of like sad that it took me so long to just discover it. It was done very well. It has one of my favorite actresses in it, and that'll be, I don't know, she has a very decorative background, and I like that a lot. And how she carried out her character in this, it was like very well. And the story of it too, it's very similar into some other horror films that we may have seen, but at the same time, it was just, I don't know, it stands out to me, and it's definitely a hidden gem. and I liked the effects of it as well too. It is definitely a torture body horror, and again, as I mentioned in my other videos and other times, that I'm not really into that too much, but this one I think just did it so well. And when a movie can do that for me, I mean, that's where it can make it on the list. Number 5 would be Grave Encounter. A TV crew of ghost hunting shows up into an abandoned psychiatric hospital and hoping to catch some spooks on camera, a scenario that can only ever end badly, and it does. This one, I'm even surprised that it made it on my list. Another movie I watched about last year during the Halloween time. Heard of this movie for a while, and I think I avoided it because of the found footage style, and that's another one genre. I would say comedy mixed with horror and found footage are the two that I'm just like, I don't know, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't want to watch that. The found footage for me just doesn't do it. Sometimes it just like loses its focus, or some people like it because, oh, it doesn't give away too much, and that's the thing, is the mystery. And I think it's just my attention span. I just lose focus on the camera shaking or waiting for anticipation. Also, like with found footage, it does that whole jump scare element, and I feel like they do too much of the jump scare. You tell me your thoughts about found footage. Is it your favorite? Why is your favorite? If it's not your favorite, do you share that type of thought, like it just relies too much on jump scares, and I'm just like tired of being like jump scared to death? This one, again, let's stay on track. It did a very, very, very good job. It really blew my expectations since it is a found footage, but I like the effects. It definitely has the early 2000 vibes of it, and sometimes people are not fans of it. I like it, but I think it was done in a found footage way that it's not too jump scary, in the sense of like Paranormal Activity, for example. I think it just did a really good job with the effects still, with the ghosts, and I really liked the acting as well. It wasn't too over the top, and fun movie to watch with some friends if you want to do a scare. And it's not gory. I would say, not all. It's not gory. If you're a person that just likes Paranormal Activity or paranormal supernatural movies like that, this one's a fun one. And number 4 would be Taking of Deborah Logan. Mia records the daily lives of Deborah and her daughter Sarah as part of her thesis. As the days progress, strange things happen around Deborah, and it becomes apparent something has taken control of her. And again, this is another found footage movie, and I think it's definitely one of those few found footage movies that I believe does a very good job of execution. Taking of Deborah Logan, it still feels like it's a professional movie done, but again, found footage. But my God, this one was done so well. It creeps me out. And I like how it's the whole battle of the Alzheimer's, but yet she's being possessed. That's a good vibes or ride for me. But the effects of this, like, holy crap. Like, there's definitely some CGI to it for sure, but the practical effects that they did, like, oh my gosh, like that was done so well, to the point like it looks so real and so creepy. And I think it's definitely one of those films that's going to age very well, like the Blair Witch Project. Everyone's going to know about the Blair Witch Projects for a long time, and I feel like Taking a Deborah Logan is the same thing. If not, then people are sleeping on it, and people need to watch it. It's a good, fun, scary ride. Please go watch it if you have not seen it. Number 3 would be Ginger Snaps, a story of two outcast sisters, Ginger and Bridget. One night, Ginger was savagely attacked by a wild creature. Her wounds miraculously heal, but something is not quite right. Now Bridget must save her sister and save herself. Yes, it still has that tropey werewolf horror to it, but I liked how it still stands out even within its own tropes. So when I say that is I like the actors and actresses in it, especially the sisters, how their on-screen relationship, it just made it feel very realistic and likable in that way. I also like the effects of it. I mean, some of it you can tell it's like that's early 2000s effects, but it's still so good. And I like the storytelling of it, of adding like a coming of age with a horror werewolf movie, because I don't think we see that too often or really at all. I haven't, if I can't remember, if you can think of a movie that's like that with a horror werewolf and coming of age mixture, please tell me, and I would like to know if there's one like that. And I like the franchise of it as well too. Maybe the third one is not as strong, but I do like how it just carries on itself in that way. Just it's a milestone in horror for me, and it's also provides that again early 2000 vibes that I enjoy of horror. Number 2 would be Clown. A loving father becomes a savage killer while wearing a cursed clown costume that won't come off. I did not think I would like this one this much when I first heard of it, but this one was really good. I really relied heavily on the practical effects, which the practical effects were done very well. This is another Eli Roth movie, and all of his like horror films are very gory. Just like it broke the rules of tropey horror. And when I say that is like most horror that you see, they don't really kill off like a child, and because that's like a little bit too much. But in this one, it doesn't stop there. And I am not mad about that because it provided like a freshness to the clown horror. Winding a little bit, when I first heard of this movie, I was like, okay, it's like a generic knockoff probably of It type of clown horror, but no, it's definitely a different vibes of it. It's the clown paranormal monster horror. Broke even more rules than the original It movie, the movie miniseries of it. I love the special effects. The acting was probably the part where I was just like, meh, but I think it's since it's an Eli Roth movie, like most of the time the acting is not that strong or likable, but it's more of the effects and the storytelling of the movie that makes it such a good movie of Eli Roth's. And this one, I think he really captured how to stand out and branch out of the clown horror, so good for him. And this isn't, if this is like another horror film that you're like, I have not seen this, I've been kind of avoiding it, don't avoid it, please. Just like watch it, give it a try, and if after you do, come back here and comment and tell me what your thoughts are on The Clown. I would love to hear that. And last and not least would be The Descent. A year after a severe emotional trauma, Sarah goes to North Carolina to spend some time exploring caves with friends. After descending underground, the women find strange cave paintings and evidence of an earlier expedition. Then they learn that they're not alone. Underground predators inhabit the crevices, and they have a taste for human flesh. The Descent, I feel like it stood out. It's definitely one of those films that's just iconic, and it's again another early 2000s film. I love the play around with the element horror mixed with like monster horror, and how they use the elements of horror was done so well. Like it's like you are in there, you're living it. You're like, I'm freaking out with the claustrophobia and the dark. And then the monsters, it's definitely very different from any other monster horror that we've seen in the history of horror. The look of it, I love the practical effects of it, and the characters as well. That's what really made this number one for me. It was like the relationships of the characters among themselves. I think it was, 6 women, and how those actors just really cohese together and really mesh. It's just their charisma on the screen really made it, I don't know, pulled out more of its favorable vibes for me. And this is another good watch if you have not seen it. I guarantee, I promise you, this is like one of those best horror films that you should not sleep on either. Part two of it is decent if you want to watch that as well, if you're pretty motivated. So that is it. That is my list of Tubi horror. And what did you guys think of my list? Did you like my list? Was there some stuff on my list that you're just like, why would you add that in there? And again, this is just my opinion. This is just what I like in horror. But there's probably some horror films even on Tubi I have not seen. And if I missed one or a couple, please tell me down below in the comments, and I would like to revisit those if I did not mention them. Also tell me to what movie that you want me to review next. I'm so far just going down the list by the years, but I do take in consideration of people's recommendations of what they want to hear on my thoughts and opinions on a movie that came out at any time. So please provide that under there, and please subscribe to my channel. I greatly appreciate that as well, and I love the love that everyone so far has been providing me, and I'll see you into the next video. Bye.